Get going. So welcome everybody. I'm glad to hear folks are safe and well for the vast majority. So just take care of yourselves, right? Take pause and just take care of yourselves and those around you. For us, it's the first day of school, so we've got 100 kids spread around our buildings, and oh man, trying to get them logged into Chromebooks has been quite an adventure apparently this morning. So, but we're grateful to be able to support the kids and their families. So let's start off, and again, as usual, if you are a visiting Rotarian or a guest or have an announcement, please drop me a note in the chat box and we'll make sure and get that in. Oh, and Robin says she has a guest, so I'll make sure and do that. Thanks, Robin. Let's start with the Pledge of Allegiance, Jessica.
Okay.
Great. Thank you. Please join me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I have to say that if I think about the Pledge of Allegiance, I'm afraid that I'm going to miss some words, but if I just let it roll, it comes out of my mouth. So it's kind of I guess that's rote memory, right? But feels kind of odd when I start to think about it in my head because I'm the only one I can hear. Rabbi Eli, words of inspiration today for us.
Yes. So this is a poem or a prose from Orion magazine about the fires, and I'm especially attached to the last line. So, smoke is the claw marks in aspen trees climbed by bear cubs, and black scars in white bark of birches where elk scratched their antlers. It is mycelium-laced snags sprouting witch's butter and artist's conch and varnished red bound reishi. It is the orange punk of ancient western red cedar stumps, the spring green of bitter cherry saplings. It is whole alder leaves, blackened and untouchably delicate, swirled up, blown south, crushed finally by air. The haze between the hills is black-tailed deer caught in salmonberry thorns, chicory middens and the stumps that held them, and the chicories too, when the fire trapped them. It is empty shells, brown, spotted, pale blue, in Swainson's thrush nests in curving Douglas maple trees. It is flame orange northern flicker feathers fallen in sword ferns, the sword ferns, and spruce needles, big leaf maple twigs, alder catkins, yellowing green cottonwood leaves, hemlock heartwood, root tannins of yellow cedar, pitchy upright alpine fir cones, resin blisters of western white pine, the handbreadth bark of old Douglas firs. The weird redness of the light is the hundreds of homes of people in Detroit and Mill City, Malala, Talent, Estacada, Phoenix, and it is the bodies of 35 human beings. The orange tint to the moon is the black and yellow millipedes that smell like almonds when scared. It is the leaves of a mountain beaver dried and stacked like hay for winter. It is weasels and martins and fishers, Pacific tree frog, a giant salamander, old and particularly slow-moving lynx. All of them burning, rising, floating, flying, settling in our lungs, on our skin, on our lawns, our skyscrapers, and our lakes. A film in our water glasses, grime on our windshields, dust on our backyard tomatoes. Hundreds of miles from where they grew, these forest particles become part of our place. And there is no line now, if there ever was, between there and here, between burning and breathing, between all of those lives and our own.
Thank you, Rabbi. Let's move to Claudia. We have a vocational moment with the one and only Ozzy Rose.
Good morning, everyone. Good to sort of see you in little squares. Ozzy, are you on with me?
Yes.
Very good. Okay, there you are. Okay, so I'm going to do this interview a little, pretty much how I did Chuck's a few weeks ago. Ozzy, where were you born?
Grand Coulee, Washington.
Okay, I believe there's a dam there.
My dad went
And-
there. My dad went there 3 months after they turned the ceremonial spade to start that dam, and worked until he retired as a truck driver in 1962.
Wow. And did you grow up there then, or did you move around?
Yes. No, I
Grew up there. Yep.
still go
kinda
back there a lot.
What was your first paying job?
Washing dishes in high school on weekends and summers. Doing farm work to get my way through college. And my first, I suppose, the job years, I was a teacher, started teaching school in a small town east of Seattle, high school math in 1960.
Very good. Where did you graduate college?
Eastern Washington College, a bachelor's degree, and University of Oregon. You know I have some affinity for that outfit.
Yeah, I've heard.
PhD.
And I like you anyway. Did you serve in the military at all?
Yes.
What branch?
After my first year in college, I got in a little snit and was mad at my mom, and I pushed my draft number. And
Okay.
6 months later, I was in Korea as an infantryman in the
Hmm.
Army, and I grew up.
I guess you would. Did you ever let your mom know that she was the reason you went to Korea?
Oh yeah, I apologized to her many, many times.
I'll bet. Was there a time in your career, either teaching or what you did after, that you questioned your path and wanted to make a big change?
No,
Okay. What would you say is the biggest change in how you do your job over the last years?
well, you people know me from being a lobbyist and so forth, and I retired in 2003. And when I worked for one organization, now I have 5 clients. That's a lot different than working for one organization. All your clients think you work for them full time.
Right. And wonder why you don't answer the phone or answer
Yes.
an email.
Right.
Yeah.
And I don't have a secretary also.
Aha. When you were asked to join Rotary, what was your impression of Rotary before you joined? And what was your first impression after you joined?
Before I joined, it was a group that met downtown. I didn't really know anything about them. I was asked by an attorney who worked for our association to join in the mid 80s. And friendship, fellowship, sharing, etc. Were all the things that came out of Rotary. I believe Rotary came out for me, not me for Rotary. I've never done near enough to repay what I got out of Rotary. I do want to add one social comment. I joined Rotary about the time they were debating whether we ought to let women in. And I was out of the school business where we had lots of women administrators, etc. And I was pretty surprised at some of the things I heard said on the floor. Now, women, I think, have over half the leadership positions in our organizations and do most of the work. And there was really a great decision to decide women should be Rotarians.
That's very kind of you to recognize those statistics. What would you tell new members in Rotary about how to assimilate themselves into the club?
Take advantage to have discussions at that lunch table where you meet new people every time if you want to. Volunteer, get involved. You become friends with people when you're doing things together.
Mm-hmm.
And remember that it'll do a whole lot more for you than you're going to do for them over the years.
Great. Thank you so much, Ozzy and Claudia. That was great. Thanks so much. Words from the wise, Ozzy. Robin, I got out of order and I didn't give you an opportunity to introduce your guest.
That's all right. My guest is Deanna Tapia. She is with Professional Interpreters, and she is starting to kind of get the feel of our club and has been impressed so far.
Very good. Welcome. We're so glad that you joined us. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Our pleasure. Lauren Gutierrez, you have a new member moment for us.
I do. I have a greeting session. David Souter is going to give us his round one of greetings. So pretend that you're standing at the front door of the meeting, and he is standing there giving you some information. He's going to give you his name, his title and organization, his favorite place to travel, the name and location of his high school, and one fact that most of you will not know about him. David, go ahead.
All right. Thanks, Lauren. And thanks, President Sue. My name's David Souter. I'm a financial advisor with Prudential Advisors. I seem to have opened my office downtown on High Street, perfectly timed for COVID, so I haven't been there in about 6 months. My favorite place to travel was, I was lucky enough a few years ago to travel around Spain and Portugal for a month with my 3 children, and just had a fantastic time. Unfortunately, the trip felt a little more like European vacation with Chevy Chase than, kind of just a nice relaxed time, but had a great time. I went to Sprague High School through my junior year, and then actually went to Mission Bay High School down in San Diego for my senior year. So that was kind of rough, But, and I played a summer of semi-pro tennis in France when I was 21 years old.
Wow. Excellent. Thank you for sharing, David. We look forward to we look forward to getting to know you better. So thanks for being our greeter today.
Thanks, everyone.
Up next is Dale Penn with our bell ringers.
Thank you very much. So I've got, I think, 7 or 8 bell ringers today. Just as a reminder, you can pay for your bell ringers on the Rotary website. I just went and paid for one myself. It's very easy to do. And also, if you have any last-minute bell ringers, I'll do a call at the end of the bell ringer section from the floor. So I'll go ahead and get started. I would like to ring the bell in support of our 2020 bell ringer goal. The Bell Ringers Committee would ask that members considering donating all or a portion of the $14 lunch you would have purchased at a live meeting towards bell ringers this week. You can champion a cause, celebrate a victory, or applaud a colleague and help the club continue doing good things in the community. Please ring the bell. All right. Jane Downing with the Center for Hope and Safety is ringing the bell for the fabulous Rotarians matching our bell ringers this week. Brenna Bauckham and Larry Hanslitz and the H Group is matching up to $240 in bell ringers. John Shirley with Anderson Shirley Architects, Inc., Justin Tyler with Cherry City Interiors and Design, and Jane Downing are all coming together to do a super duper match of $1,000. An anonymous donor is providing a super duper amazing $5,000 match of all the donations this month. Thank you to all of these wonderful and generous people providing the matching opportunities, and to all the Rotarians ringing the bell this week so we meet those matches. Please ring the bell. Tammy Dene is ringing the bell for President Sue to thank our president for her ongoing effort to lead our club during this time when we cannot gather in person. Tammy welcomes members to join this bell ringer because leading in a pandemic presents challenges and additional pressures to chapter leaders. Thank you, President Sue, for leading us and continuing to strategically connect us via technology in ways we never knew possible just a year ago. Please ring the bell for President Sue. John McCulley is ringing the bell for the many Rotarians in our area who responded to help people impacted by the wildfires. It was heartwarming to turn on the news and see Rotarians prominently featured, working to ease the stress of those who had to evacuate their homes. Ring the bell for Rotarians who put service above self into action. Please ring the bell. Paul Farrell is ringing the bell today to celebrate his 61st wedding anniversary. Paul and his wife, Leona, were married on August 30th, 1959 on the island of Kauai in the Hawaiian Islands. Leona's birth home, that's her birth home. Leona graduated from the University of Washington in June of 1959, 2 months before the wedding. Paul and Leona have had a wonderful life, raising 2 successful sons, and have watched their 5 grandchildren grow up. Let's ring the bell for their 61st wedding anniversary.
Oh, wow. That's really
Tim Lemon is ringing the bell for Jim Bauer and Jill Munger and the Salem Health Foundation Board of Directors. The foundation has awarded St. Francis a grant in the amount of $20,000 to pay for the installation of high-speed internet, a year of service, and additional devices and headphones, so the kiddos who currently call St. Francis home will have the same opportunities to learn and thrive as all the other children in the Salem-Keizer School District. Ring the bell for the Salem Health Foundation, helping all kids thrive in our community. Kim is also ringing the bell a second time to celebrate the first ever virtual Tiki Up to support the St. Francis event that was held this past Sunday evening, September 13th. Their event was a huge success, and Kim is so grateful to Jen Columbus and Adam Kohler for virtually volunteering to help the event go smoothly, and to Rotarians Jane Downing, Mary James, Holly Berry, Russ McCracken, Farah Etzel, Stephen Bronchot, Tammy Denny, Claudia Vorse, and others for joining in the fun and supporting their event. The funds raised at this event allow them to continue to serve families in their community experiencing homelessness, as well as to serve even more families by providing immediate housing services to our neighbors in the canyon who were displaced by the devastating wildfires. She missed seeing all of you in person Sunday evening and look forward to future opportunities to saddle up together. Please ring the bell. Shane Griggs has our last bell ringer, and she is ringing the bell for both Katie and Heather, who are our program presenters today. Shane has a special acknowledgement of Heather, who, like so many of her friends, was displaced during these horrific fires. Let's ask ourselves, what can I do to help our communities? If you don't have an idea, you can join Shane at the Truett Donation Center on Front Street. Please ring the bell. And John McCauley has a bell ringer from the floor. I'll turn it over to John.
Thanks, Dale. My bell ringer is for our fellow Rotarian, Bruce Wadley. I just learned at the membership committee meeting this morning that his business, Barnwood Naturals, burned on September 7th. And Julie and I were out of town and out of touch with communication. So I just learned about it this morning. So I want to ring the bell for Bruce, and I will also post the GoFundMe link so that others who may want to help support him at this time can do so. So ring the bell for Bruce.
Thank you very much. And Claudia, you have a bell ringer?
I do, thank you. And all the efforts of getting the donated things down for the evacuees, it was apparent that we needed something to put them in. And I was able to, I would like to thank Willamette Valley Vineyards for donating their recycled wine boxes. So we took pallets down there so that there would be easily carryable boxes for people to carry the donated items back to their tents and trailers and things. So thank you to Willamette Valley Vineyards.
All right, and Rick, you have 2 bell ringers.
My first bell ringer is for Robin Kerner. Robin is amazing. I love her. And unfortunately, this is her last day with the food share. Sue Bloom made the announcement 2 weeks ago that Robin is moving over to Boys and Girls Club. I am excited for her. I'm excited for the Boys and Girls Club, and really proud that the food share is known to help support staff and develop staff, and that they can move on to new and exciting positions. So Robin, you're amazing. Good luck. And I'm definitely going to miss you in your capacity with the food share. My second bell ringer is to Rotary. And if I did this right, I'm sharing the screen. I hope I am. Am I sharing the screen? I don't know if I'm sharing the screen or not. I hope I am.
You are, Rick.
So this is the truck that we delivered to the fairgrounds of food. So you get some pictures of, we're delivering pallets of water, we're delivering pallets of food and snacks. This is what it looks like in the fairgrounds. But really what I want you to look at is the main picture of the truck, and right there is the Rotary logo. So Rotary helped us buy this truck, and so even if you did not know you were actively involved in this effort, you are, because this food got to the fairgrounds and people evacuated because of the support of Rotary. So thank you so much. And
All
now
right.
I'll share as soon as I can figure out how.
And that will have to be our last one. I'm getting a couple other requests for bell ringers, but we need to cut that off. I apologize. Please take advantage of sending this bell ringer on to next week if you have another one. So thank you very much, and Sue, back to you.
Thank you, Dale, and thank you, everyone. Those were some wonderful bell ringers, and thank you so much to all of our match Rotarians. That was pretty incredible few minutes there. So thank you for all your great work, everyone. So past President Russ McCracken will give you a minute or two about a Salem Rotary Foundation moment.
Thank you, President Sue. Good afternoon, fellow Rotarians. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Russ McCracken, retired bean counter and an honored member of the Salem Rotary Foundation Board. Those of you participating in last week's meeting were treated to the ever-inspiring words of past President and Salem Rotary Foundation Secretary-Treasurer Tim Nissen. Tim shared with us the history of the Salem Rotary Foundation, including the tremendous growth of our endowment. In my 10 years as a member of our club, I've had the privilege to watch this effort, driven by the generosity of our membership, and it has been a truly spectacular effort. This effort includes our weekly bell ringers, raffles back in the day, both large and small donations, and we welcome small donations, we welcome large donations, we welcome monthly gifts, we welcome occasional gifts. In the words of the fourth of our four-way test, it is beneficial to all concerned. It is the heart of our local giving engine. The strength of your foundation is something to be proud of, and we certainly have the base to continue growth, providing good things in our community long into the future. As I stated, it's the contributions of our membership that has us where we are today. So it's my pleasure to recognize our Circle Awards to those who have earned them as of the start of this Rotary year, July 1, 2020. Our Bronze Circle recognition is to those whose cumulative gifts total over $500. Joining the 79 members of the club in the Bronze Circle are Pam Lawson and Emily Swart. Our Silver Circle recognition is to those whose gifts total over $2,500. Joining this circle of 11 fellow Rotarians this year are Farah Etzel, Shane Griggs, Larry Hanslitz, and former Rotary Club of Salem member Tony DeSantis. Our Gold Circle recognizes donors who have given over $5,000. And joining this very special group this year is John McCulley. Your foundation has established a new circle level designated as Ruby for those who have given over $10,000. Our first three Ruby members are Chuck Swank, Ozzie Rose, and Jane Downing. And we've changed our benefactor circle to a new designation of Diamond for those who have given $25,000 or more. Diamond Circle members are Mike Carrick, Susanna Owens, Larry Connick, Bill Meyer, Bill Hansen, and Tim Nissen. And finally, I want to recognize our Legacy Circle for those who have made provisions for the Salem Rotary Foundation in their will or estate plan. Joining the 22 members in this circle are two Barrys, Holly Barry and Barry Nelson. Recognizing this category last year, Tim noted a quote, "The society grows great when people plant trees whose shade they will never share, and they shall never sit in." I believe that quote fits virtually everything we do as Rotarians to build our foundation strength. I encourage all of you to think about this as you plan what you can do to truly make a difference in this community. Over 65% of our membership are recognized in the circles I've just described, and our foundation board thanks you. I hope you all will consider adding to this legacy, be it bell ringers, small or large donations, monthly contributions, which is my favorite, or legacy planning. Thank you again, and I'll turn it back to you, Sue.
Great. Thank you, Russ. Appreciate it very much, and all the great work of the foundation. So I'm going to hand it off now to Shane Griggs to introduce our program. Thank you, Shane.
You're muted, Shane.
Okay, now you can hear me. Can you hear me now? Hello. Okay, I think you can hear me now. So thank you, President Sue. A few months ago, I was having cocktails. This shouldn't really surprise you too much. Cocktails with a couple of friends, Cindy Linusar and Jen Columbus, and we were having drinks outside the Independence Hotel restaurant. And it was just beautiful. You could see the paddleboarders, the kayakers coming right down the river. And I never really considered the Willamette as such a fun resource, really until then. So we have two fabulous presenters today. I'll introduce Heather first. Heather King is the Deputy Director for the Willamette Riverkeeper, and she moved to Portland, actually, from the East Coast in 2017. Like so many of our members, she enjoys spending much of her time on the river, in the river probably too, on the mountains and on the coast. Professionally, she has spent most of her career in fundraising in the nonprofit sector, which many of us can relate to. I also wanted to add, as mentioned in my bell ringer, that Heather had to evacuate her home during the fire. So that she's made the time to be with us today is just remarkable given that circumstance. Katie McFall began working with the Willamette Valley Visitors Association through the AmeriCorps program called RARE, and RARE is an acronym for Resource Assistance for Rural Environments. She's currently the development coordinator, and she works on projects that help promote the valley as sort of a world-class tourist destination. A few examples include the Willamette River Water Trail, the food trails, which I think just sounds fascinating, and the cycling connectivity that we are always looking at as a community. So with that, I will turn it over to either Heather or Katie. I think y'all probably have had a conversation about who is going to go first, but welcome.
Thank you so much for that introduction. I will start first. I'm going to share my screen. Let's share that and let me know. You should all be able to see my screen now. Great.
Yes.
So I'm Katie McFall, and I'm the development coordinator at the Willamette Valley Visitors Association. And I just wanted to show this first slide because you see our branding, Willamette Valley, Oregon Wine Country. And many people often see that before they know what we actually do. And I just want to make a point that that is our consumer-facing brand, and that we use that internationally to connect people to the Willamette Valley, because people often see Willamette Valley on a wine bottle before anything else. So we do so much more than that, but I just want to make sure that you know that that's our consumer-facing brand. Let's see. Trying to go next slide. There we go. So just a little bit about us. I just wanted to provide a little bit of background about who we are and what we do. We are a year-round, we try to promote travel and tourism year-round to provide economic and impact and economic development in the Willamette Valley at the local level within small business, recreational opportunities, and a wide array of industries and topics. So our region, so we receive our funding through Travel Oregon, and there are 7 different regions within the state that also receive funding. And so our region stretches from the Newburgh-Wilsonville area all the way down to Cottage Grove, and then to the peak of the Coast Range and the Cascade Range. So it's a pretty large geographic area that we work within. And luckily the majority of the Willamette River falls within our region. So the Willamette River Trail, we, in partnership with Willamette Riverkeeper, have been working on a great project. But a little bit of history about the Willamette River Trail. It was designated as a water trail in 2012. It's 187 miles long, a free-flowing river, which is awesome. It's the largest watershed in the state of Oregon. And something that people don't often realize is that 70% of the state of Oregon population lives within a 20-minute drive of the river. So for us, it seems to be an underutilized asset in our area that really, like you had mentioned, going to the Independence Hotel and realizing, oh my gosh, this is a beautiful river. And, you know, how do we recreate on it, and how do we really engage with the river? And a lot of people feel that way and live so close to it. So we are currently engaged in a Willamette River Water Trail studio in partnership with Travel Oregon. So they come in and they provide some capacity support, some convening, and some resources to work with the community to really designate what tools, opportunities exist on the Willamette River. And so we're in the process of that, and we decided as a tourism entity to be the lead convener of this project because we have the capacity, and for us, we don't have any jurisdictional boundaries, or we can work with nonprofit groups, government, private business. We have the ability to work with all these different groups to bring them to the river and to have a conversation about the whole geographic area of it. So kind of some background as to why this kind of project came up when it did, and that we've been working on for the last year as highlighting the river is the Oregon State Marine Board now has a new funding stream for paddlers. And so this funding stream now, any paddling craft that's over 10 feet long has to, have a permit now to recreate on the river. And so this is a new funding pot to where we can apply for grants, infrastructure, a wider array of funding sources through the Marine Board. Along with that, many communities are turning back to the river that are along the Willamette River. I know Eugene is doing a lot of work with the river. The city of Albany, they are redeveloping and redesigning a riverfront plan. The city of Independence, they have been working on this project for many, many years. And as you've seen, it's really paid off, and they have the hotel there. They're in walking distance from their downtown to the river. So communities are really seeing it as an asset, and it's right there. It's right in the backyard, and it's a beautiful place to be. So our steering committee is comprised of about 24 individuals from different backgrounds, and we have the Marine Board, we have Heather from Riverkeeper, we have state parks, we have local nonprofit groups. It's a wide range of individuals that are on our steering committee, which is really great for the conversation to move things forward. Our area that we're working on, section of river, is from Springfield area all the way up to the Willamette Locks. And that's where we're really focused. And we were going to have community-based workshops to identify goals, objectives, and opportunities on the river in April. And they were going to be in person, and we were going to have 5 different workshops along the river. And unfortunately, due to COVID, those had to be postponed. So the steering committee right now is working in action teams to identify short-term kind of wins that we can get while we're all working virtually and remotely before in-person convening can begin again. We're going to reassess, hopefully, how to engage the community and what workshops to have moving forward, but we're unsure of that at this time due to COVID and what kind of fall and winter look like at this time. So some overall goals that have been identified. Number 1 is to bring awareness to the Willamette River and the asset that it is and the recreational opportunities that exist. The Willamette River is beautiful. It's a really great entry-level river for paddlers, for people to canoe, to stand-up paddleboard, all of those things. And we really think that that's a benefit. So yeah, there's a list of some of our goals and objectives, which can change depending on community input and what funding streams are available. So some outcomes, maybe some river signage, new outfitters and shuttle companies, new paddler access points, more messaging around the river, potentially things as simple as life jacket check-in and outs, rental shuttle services, things like that. So with that, I'm probably going to pass it over to Heather, but I will say that we have an industry newsletter, which you can find out more information about what we're doing. I can put that link in the chat box, and feel free to ask any questions about the work we're doing or the river. My email is also there, katie@oregonwinecountry.org. Feel free to shoot me an email if you have anything else that pops up or any ideas or collaboration. We'd love to hear from you.
Okay, I guess it's my turn. So I'm Heather King. I am the Deputy Director at Willamette Riverkeeper. And I want to thank you for the bell ringing and let you all know that I am back in my home. So I feel super lucky that all I had to do was leave and then come back. But my dog and my cats and I are all safely back in my home. So I'm gonna share my screen here. And I'm going to spend some time talking to you all about both Willamette Riverkeeper and the Water Trail. So why Willamette Riverkeeper and who is Willamette Riverkeeper? This is Travis Williams. He's our Riverkeeper and Executive Director, and he's actually celebrating in this year of COVID and forest fires his 20th year in that position. So the Willamette Riverkeeper is an organization, and we were founded in 1996. We're based in both Portland and Eugene, and our mission is to make the Willamette Riverkeeper safe for fishing and swimming, and to inform and involve Oregonians with their river. And we do that through a combination of education, advocacy, and research. So we are also a member of the Waterkeeper Alliance, and I pulled their most recent stats today and was kind of blown away. So the Waterkeeper Alliance was founded, and originally we were one of the 12 original members of the organization when we were founded in '96. And now there are over 300 chapters in more than 45 countries. And together we protect more than 2.77 million square miles of water, which I kind of was mind blowing this morning when I looked that up. So for Willamette Riverkeeper in particular, let's go back one sec. I said we're in Eugene and Portland, but we have 9 staff members, 8 of whom are either full or part-time staff, and 1 we have a vets work intern through AmeriCorps working with us this year. So he's having an interesting year, much different than he thought it was going to be. So we do our work through lots of different programs. We love to get people on the water, as you can see from all these smiling people in canoes and kayaks. We do river advocacy, and we do that by protecting the water quality through enforcement of the Clean Water Act. We do have a staff attorney, Eli, who's based in Eugene. And we do that through dealing with paper mills who are discharging pollution into the river, working with meatpacking companies and other agricultural organizations on the river. We've done a lot of work and still do a lot of work with the Portland Superfund site, trying to get that cleaned up. We run a River Guardians program, and that is river-wide, so the entire 187 miles of river, and that program is twofold. So we train volunteers to go through on certain segments of the river at least once a month and report back to us any trash or pollution or debris or safety hazards that they find on the river. And we also do monthly trash cleanups in Portland, Eugene, Salem, and Corvallis. Those have just recently started up, and if you all would be interested in planning a cleanup in Salem as a group, please feel free to contact me and we can coordinate that. That, just to give you an idea of how much trash we pull off the river, just the Eugene crew last year alone pulled off 365 standard truck beds of trash off of the river, and 744 needles. So that's just a tiny bit of what we cleaned up off the river last year. We have a habitat restoration group, which you see, this is just one sampling of what we do. So we are currently restoring over 1,500 acres of riparian zones on the river. And we also go out and do plantings. Those are volunteer led, and we do invasive weed species monitoring every year on the whole river, and also do in different times community paddle and pulls, and have people go out on the river, learn about the river, and pull aquatic weeds off the river. We also do, in better times that aren't COVID related, we do discovery paddles, and those happen once a month. They're free to the general public. We provide canoes and all the equipment needed to paddle if you need it. We want to get more and more people on the river, and so we provide those free of charge. So this is a picture from a River Guardians trip in Eugene, and this is a discovery paddle that we did a couple of years ago. We also do research on the river. So this is a picture on the left-hand side is Graham. He was one of our interns this year from Oregon State. And then on the bottom right-hand side is somebody from the Natural Resources Office from the Grand Ronde tribe. These are Western pearl shell mussels. We have done 4 years so far of research on them, had 2 studies published. They are a freshwater mussel in the Willamette River, and they can grow to be over 100 years old. But we are finding that there are fewer and fewer juveniles in the river, so we're trying to figure out the reasons why that is happening. So what you're going to find on the Willamette River, I'm going to try and not go over time so I can actually talk about the water trail. You're going to see lots of different birds, so anything from a bald eagle to an osprey to a kingfisher. Every once in a while, that pink flamingo you might find. You're going to find a lot of fish. There are 31 known native species of fish and 29 introduced species of fish on the Willamette River. And then these are just some of the flowers and trees that you might see. We got a trillium, camas, the wapato, and then the Oregon white ash. So please feel free to interrupt me if I go over time. I could talk about the Willamette River for a really long time. I love it. So the water trail itself, there is a national water trail system in the U.S. And the Willamette Water Trail was named the #1 of 7 of America's best paddle through rivers by REI. And it is in 2012 was designated by the government as a national scenic water trail. And it is only one of 3 national water trails west of the Mississippi. And so Katie talked a little bit about this. The water trail is 187 miles long. It starts in Eugene and the river flows north from Eugene all the way up to the Columbia River. And it is an assemblage of properties owned by the Department of State Lands, Oregon State Parks. Riverkeeper itself owns 3 properties on the river. We're just about to get a 4th, I believe. Fingers crossed on that one, where you can camp overnight. And the river itself, what I really love about it is that you can go for a day paddle or a day float, or you can go for an entire week. Recently this summer, our executive director and 3 of our volunteers actually paddled the entire river from Eugene all the way up to the Columbia, and they did it in 9 days. And what was amazing about that, aside the fact that they did that, is that the 2 other people paddling with Travis were 82 and 77. So it was pretty cool to watch them do it. And they paddled 20 to 30 miles a day. So I'm going to walk you through really quickly what it would look like for you to do a trip on the Willamette Water Trail. Over on the right-hand side, you'll see here is our logo, and you'll see that as you paddle up and down the river, that sign designates that it is a Willamette Water Trail site, and that you can get off the river there and camp overnight. So this is Harrisburg, and this is a very frequently used put-in site for trips. It's actually near one of our properties, Norwood Island. It's about I think it's about a 15-mile paddle. It takes about 3 hours to get there. It's absolutely beautiful. And once you're on the river in your canoe or kayak or paddleboard or however you're going to transport yourself, this is what you see. And it is stunning and it is beautiful. So just imagine doing this and there's an eagle flying overhead or an osprey or a beaver, whatever you see. It is a stunning, stunning trip. So whether you're alone or whether you're with a group of people, this is your trip down the river. And the river affords you the ability while you're paddling it to pull aside on a gravel bar, to look for agates, which are an amazing thing that I discovered when I moved out here. And they're all over my house now. But you know, you can pull aside and take a break, let your dogs go to the bathroom or whatever they need to do, run crazy. My dog's always paddling with me. Or just eat lunch or, you know, whatever you need to do. And then you get to your campsite. This is Norwood Island. This is a property owned by Willamette Riverkeeper. And there are established campsites along the river. And when I say established, those particular campsites have fire rings, guest check-in books. Norwood Island itself has both of those. It is a 90-acre property. We've also cut in several nature trails that you can walk around. So you get out of your canoe, your kayak, you unpack your stuff, you set up your camp, you cook your dinner, and river camping can be a little bit like glamping, as you can see here a bit. It's pretty amazing. And then you settle in with your friends and you watch the sunset over the river. And so it's a really incredible experience and not one that many people know about. But this right here is your Willamette River. And what we like to say is to know your Willamette is to love your Willamette. The gentleman on the right-hand side is Phil Boss. He was a board member for years and years and years. And on the left is Al Grapel. He's one of the people that actually paddled the whole river this summer with our executive director. And he's 82 and a cancer survivor. And I just want y'all to remember that the river belongs to all of us. So just real quickly, I am going to change to, so I can share with you. The Willamette Water Trail we have our own website, and we just redid it. So if you are interested in paddling the river, this would be your place to go to find the information that you need. And you can go here and you can find information on planning a trip, what you might need to paddle the river, gear checklists, information on safety and etiquette. If you go to the itinerary inspiration, that'll actually show you different day trips and overnight trips that you can take on the river. And there's information here about the river, plants and wildlife. And if you decide you want to do it, I would recommend that you get a water trail guide, which is right here in the center. It's a waterproof guide. It's 2 books, and it'll help you figure out how to paddle it. On the left here, you'll see the field guide, which was actually written by our ED, also a super handy book to have. And we're actually almost out of them. And so I'm going to stop sharing. And I don't know if anybody has any questions. I think I hit everything on our list. Yeah. Oh, the other thing I wanted to do, I did say if you guys wanted to do a trash cleanup in Salem to let me know. We'd be more than happy to put something together. But every year in October, the first Saturday in October, we do what we call the Great Willamette Cleanup. And it's usually a set of over 40 sites up and down the river on one day where 1,400 people come together and clean up the river. And we can't do that this year because of COVID, but we are going to do events throughout the year. So if y'all would like to put together a cleanup specific to your group, again, I'd be happy to help you put that together. It's more group oriented this year. Does anybody have any questions for me about Riverkeeper or the Willamette Water Trail?
Yeah, we have, thank you, Katie and Heather. That was fantastic. You got everybody charged up. I don't know if you're looking in the chat, but everybody's charged up.
I'm not looking at it. I'll look now.
No, that's great. So we have several folks' hands raised. So we'll start with Mary James has a question.
Yes, hi. I hope you can hear me.
Yes.
My question is, what, if any, is the impact of the fires in the Willamette Forest and Highway 22 on the Willamette River's health and on the tributaries into the Willamette River that you know of?
Well, that's an excellent question. And funnily enough, I submitted an emergency grant yesterday to the Templeton Foundation because the North Santiam, the Mackenzie, and Santiam are all tributaries of the Willamette River. And we're worried about what's going to happen with the ash, the runoff, the root systems that have been destroyed. We're going to have to start to do almost immediately monitoring of the river. And because we're so close to the rainy season and flooding, we're really worried about what's going to happen just for water quality, but also for the fish. So we believe there's going to have a huge effect on our river. We just don't know what it is yet. So right now we're trying to acquire the funding that would enable us to do that testing on the river. And hopefully that grant will come through. We don't know what it's going to look like. We just know that we have to do it. And we have to be very aware and be ready and on the ready as the year goes by to figure out how we can fix what happens to the river and its quality.
Great, thank you. Excellent question. Julie, you had a question?
Yeah, I'm an avid kayaker. It's very addicting. I have 2 questions for you. One is, there's a lot of misnomers about the Willamette being dirty in Salem. So I want to know exactly what sites to send to people that will share the water quality with them so that they know statistically, because that's just a common conversation in Salem that it's dirty. And then my other question is, what Salem area ideas do you guys have for new paddle access? I think you had mentioned that earlier.
in terms of water quality, part of the presentation I just gave you, which I didn't have time to do, is questions about the Willamette River. It's all true, false. So one of them is, what area of the Willamette River can't you swim in? Like, or is there an area, because it's true, false? It's false. You can swim anywhere you want in the Willamette River. It's super clean. I don't usually hear Salem. It's usually Portland. We don't have water quality information on our website, and I don't know if there is one. But I would shoot them to, you know, give them our website, give them my email, give them our, you know, just send them to us and we can talk to them. But we've been working on this river for a long time. It's way cleaner than it used to be. And you can eat the fish, you can swim in the water. People swim in Portland all the time. So just keep pushing it. And in terms of new access points for Salem, I don't think that we have any. They're going to be putting in a new ramp in Butteville. And Riverkeeper has sort of just very quietly taken responsibility for San Salvador. We, about a month ago, installed a porta potty there because there wasn't one. And then Travis and I have been going on a weekly basis to check the trash and clean it up every week. And we're hoping that next year we'll be able to install a couple of porta potties and a dumpster there and some signage, and then clean up that boat ramp. So we're slowly doing things. But if you have ideas of where we could put, you know, get more boater access in Salem, please feel free to reach out and contact us, because that's also part of the project that Katie was talking about.
That's great. Thank you. Warren, you had a question? Or Linda?
This time it's Warren. I had actually a couple comments. I own a large office building that's on the Willamette River, and it's a $1 million view. Just standing in the office looking out the window. We've had considerable problems with homeless people making camps who sit right on the banks of the river. This year, because my wife has her second new knee, we've been launching our 16-foot flat bottom boat out of Kaiser Rapids and then coming up clear up to the Taco Bridge. And I don't know, we don't paddle, I guess is what I'm saying, because we just don't have the physical attributes at this point. Are motorboats ever included in any of this stuff? Because that's what we do. We'll just go out in the river and then float all the way back down.
Well, we don't normally include motorboats in our events. We do have them on our trash cleanups because we clean up so much trash that we need that much space, which is a little crazy to say. But if you wanted to join us for a paddle event, just email me. We usually will make do for other people. We'd have to talk about wake and stuff like that. But we want as many people on the river as possible. So if that's your only way, because you have 2 new knees, to do it, then let us know. You know, we have stand-up paddle boarders, we have rafters, sometimes we have drift boats. So
one comment further, we've found that launching from Wallace Marine, the ramp there's a lot of current. So we've been preferring the Kaiser Rapids because it's actually it's a back current. It's going upstream, right at the ramp. So if somebody's interested in launching, Kaiser's a great place to go to launch.
Yes, we actually have told many people that. Usually it's only if we have a huge paddle going in or out of the river that we launch from Wallace. It's for the green. We do the Greenway paddle every June, which is a free paddle. We do it in partnership with OPRD, and there's probably 50 boats on the river, so we'll put in there. And Paddle Oregon, which is a yearly fundraising paddle that we do with over 150 boats a year, that's usually where we take out, because that's where we can get the big trailers in and out. But
Willamette is a great place to go bass fishing. That's another thing we picked up. That's my final.
There you go. Thank you, Warren. Thank you, Warren. I'm cruising through the participant list or the chat box. Are there any final questions for Heather or Katie? And I guess if you want to unmute yourself and ask the question, that's fine, because I'm not right now seeing hands raised. All righty. Any Katie or Heather, any last thoughts or comments for the folks on the call?
I have a
no,
question.
I just put my email address. Oh, I put my email address in the chat box if anybody wants to contact me.
Great, thank you. Ryan, what was your question?
Heather, what is your personal favorite stretch of the Willamette River Trail that you prefer to float?
Okay, well, it's a secret put-in spot that I can't disclose until we actually acquire the property officially. But there is a property that someone lets us use, and it actually gives us access to the river with our vehicles we can put in. And I love camping there overnight. It's been my secret camp spot all summer long. Katie might know the name of it, but she better not disclose it. Anyway, I love to put in there and paddle to the sanctuary, the Nickel Sanctuary, which is another property owned by Riverkeeper. It's about, I think it's 102 acres. It's beautiful. There's a nature trail. It's super quiet. And then that is probably my most favorite paddle. My second favorite is putting in Harrisburg and paddling to Norwood. And then taking out in San Salvador. You would never know that you were in between, the 4 biggest cities in Oregon. Never in a million years. You don't hear anything, you don't see anything. And prior to COVID, I would go out on the river for a week, and I would go out and set up what we call a remote office and work on grants and such. And I wouldn't see anybody else for the entire week. Now COVID's hit and everybody's doing stuff close to home. So one of the weekends I was on Norwood, every campsite within sight of where I was camping was full. So I'm standing on the campsite on the other side of Norwood was full, Norwood East was full, and then some gravel bar across the way was full. So it's exciting. While at the same time, we've had to do a lot of river education this year about how to paddle and overnight on a river and leave no trace principles. So, but that is my favorite place to paddle. I would highly recommend going to Norwood Island or the Sanctuary because they're just large pieces of beautiful land where you can hide from the rest of the world.
Excellent, excellent. Well, Katie and Heather and Shane, thank you so much. This was really interesting. And again, as you can see in the chat, you got everybody wound up and excited to get back out on the river. So, and there's also, I think Justin's going to get a hold of you for volunteer opportunities that we can bring Rotarians out to the river to help support the beautiful scenery and the habitat. So
open invitation to contact me for whatever you need. So
okay, excellent. Thank you so much.
You're
welcome. Next week, let me get back to my agenda. Next week, we'll be focused on highlights of the work of the Salem Rotary Foundation. And a big thank you in advance to past President Ellen Wyant for chairing our meeting next week. I'll have my own board meeting here at the club, not at the club, but with my board members. So, so we'll see you all next week on the 23rd with past President Ellen chairing the program. So again, take care of yourselves, everybody. Be safe. Take care, and we'll see you next week. Have a wonderful week, everybody. Bye-bye.